It's November 28th, 2014, and you're listening to episode 9 of The Road to Japan. Konnichiwa. Minasan genki desu ka? Welcome once again, everyone, to another episode of The Road to Japan. My name is Nico. I'll be your host for this episode. Where do we want to start? Well, I'm going to start by saying that winter is finally here in the great, wonderful state of Wisconsin. We finally started getting some snow, so I'm giddy as a little girl right now. I know a lot of my how shall I say, Midwest listeners are probably not too fond of hearing me say that because, well, unlike them, I'm not a homeowner, so I don't have to worry about, shoveling snow or getting out the snow blower or anything like that. But unfortunately, they do. So, my sympathies go out to my friends that have to do that kind of stuff. But I'm going to be over here having a nice big old smile on my face. Unfortunately, that also means that the colder temperatures are showing up as well. We had a bit of I don't know what you would call it, a cold snap or something, but it basically got pretty cold here for, I don't know, about a week, 10 days, something like that. It dipped probably into the 20s and even the teens for a few days, so that was not necessarily very pleasant. But if the snow comes in the package, then I'm not really too concerned about it. But anyway, yeah, now winter is finally here. I am more of a fan of winter than summer, pretty much any day of the week. Because my philosophy is always going to be that you can always add more clothing, but you can only take off so much before you're arrested. That's my take on it. So yeah, I'm always a fan of wintertime. So let's see. There's quite a bit to talk about on the show today. The theme is probably going to be having to do with working hard and getting that job done. And let's see. So as I mentioned, the date is the 28th. So for any of you keeping track, yesterday was the American holiday of Thanksgiving. I enjoyed a wonderful turkey meal at home that I made by myself. I contemplated making recording the episode while I was preparing that meal, but I remembered that I had promised to do a proper episode the last time I was in the kitchen. So here you go. This is a proper episode. No kitchen stuff going on here. It's just me and the microphone. Thanksgiving to me is just it's just pretty much a couple days off. That's all. That's the only way I really look at it, to be honest. It doesn't really hold any kind of, I don't know, value to me as it would for other people, because usually people use it as a time to get together with friends and family and stuff. And, I have friends, but they have families. So usually they're off, doing their own thing. But it's no big deal. I enjoyed the meal. I had a wonderful day off. And today is that infamous holiday of Black Friday, which I am particularly not a fan of. It's like the holiday of Christmas, to me personally, honestly just brings out the absolute worst in people. And I lumped Christmas in there because, to be honest, a lot of people are going out for these Black Friday deals to get Christmas gifts for their family, their friends, or whatever, or to even pick something else up for themselves. But the thing is that like the very nature of just consumerism just kind of baffles me sometimes. I mean, I realize, yes, saving money is great and everything, but if you're only saving money to then buy yet another item that's on sale, that doesn't quite make sense to me. I particularly just would rather, you know, if it comes down, if it comes down to paying full price for an item and not dealing with the kinds of crowds and even sometimes violence that can occur during some of these Black Friday gatherings, then I will happily pay full price for it. But the other thing is that I do a lot of online shopping, you know, because we also have, I guess Cyber Monday is a holiday. I'm not particularly sure, but it's kind of become a thing as well. And I've done, I bought a couple things online. I actually haven't left the house since I got home on Wednesday, but I buy a couple things here and there. It's no big deal. One of them I'll probably be talking about here shortly later in the show. Yeah, so I mean that's kind of the update, I guess, as far as what's going on around the Road to Japan headquarters. So anyway, let's get into the actual show material here. And there's a number of things that I have to talk about as far as updates are concerned. One, the probably the big huge one is the fact that I'm not necessarily dropping the accelerated program, but I am making alterations to how I'm going to go about it. The reason for this is, well, I guess I'll give the reason first. The latest math test that I took was a bit of a wake-up call because I didn't do so well on it. I actually ended up getting a 55%, which is not good. That's not good at all. And I could sit here and make excuses or whatever. But basically what it boiled down to was that I just didn't get the homework done in time, which really left me at a disadvantage. I mean, I tried my best, like the day of the test, to go in the library and just kind of work out a few problems here and there, namely at the end of the assignments, because they usually build up towards the more difficult stuff at the end of the assignment. So I did that and just kind of crossed my fingers. But unfortunately, I didn't end up doing very well. So that was a bit of a wake-up call for me and made me realize that maybe, basically it made me think that my arrogance had gotten the best of me, that I had assumed that I could just pretty much do all of this online, that I didn't need to sit in a classroom and be able just kind of to breeze through these classes. And this, the results of this math test was pretty much alarming to me to make me realize finally that maybe that's not the best direction to take. That basically the accelerated program would perhaps be a bit more than I could possibly handle. Now, it's not to say that nobody can handle. I'm sure maybe, there's probably people out there more determined than I am that would be able to put in their 40 hours a week and go to school, be doing this accelerated program full time and basically having to do twice as much work in half the amount of time. And, I'd like to think that I could fall into that category of people to do it. But the thing is that this is mainly a result of me just being impatient. That, the whole point obviously is to finally, get to Japan, but I think I'm trying to rush it, and that might not be the best strategy. It's not like Japan's going anywhere. It'll still be there by the time I'm done with school. So, I'm figuring that maybe I should, just kind of slow things down a little bit. It's not to say I'm, quitting anything or anything of that nature. But I'm just going to maybe work a little bit at my own pace. Cause the thing with me is that it's always been about, my motto would probably be slow and steady gets the race won. It's basically like the tortoise and the hare. Everyone knows that little tale. And I definitely am more like the tortoise. No, there's no question about that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I have so many problems at my job, is because that work centers around how fast you can move and how quickly you can do things. And I'm just not one of those people. I mean, the way I want to work is always being able to take the time, put the thought into it, and make sure, because, I was raised to do things right the first time so that you wouldn't have to do them a second time. And, I've followed that philosophy basically my entire life, and I do the same thing at my job. And, I'll get to it a little bit later, but there were some things that happened at work that were a reflection of me trying to rush things. So I wanted to mention the math test and the fact that the accelerated program is not entirely going away. I guess I'll just talk about that now. So registration has finally opened up for next semester, and originally what I was doing was trying to obviously register for the accelerated classes for next semester. And what was strange to me was that the counselor that actually I don't know if she's actually a counselor or not, but she's someone that deals with registration issues, so I assume she somewhere falls into that category. But she was not sure what to do, because when I went to register for all 9 classes, the website was telling me that I would be overloading myself, which I realized under normal circumstances, yes, that would be considered an overload, and I'd be doing too many credits and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that that's the whole point of the accelerated program. And so obviously I went to one of the campuses and I spoke with this woman about it, and she was not sure what to do, because the website was telling me I needed some kind of waiver or petition or some crap like that in order to get approved to take all these classes in the same semester. And so it ended up getting out of her reach, because she apparently didn't know what to do. So she reached out to like one of the head counselors for the entire school. And at least as of right now, I'm still waiting on feedback, but that feedback is irrelevant at this point. And the reason is because, like I mentioned, the math test came back, and I kind of was like, oh, maybe I should do things a little differently here. So what I've decided to do is kind of do a little bit of a mix. So next semester I'm doing a half and half. So I'm taking 2 regular normal semester classes, and then I'm taking 2 accelerated courses. And the strategy behind that is that by doing it this way, I will only have 3 classes to focus on at any one time during the semester. Plus, it kind of will, change things up slightly, when I'm done with one accelerated course and I move on to the next. And I'm able to still do the 2 classroom courses kind of all the way through. And I decided that maybe the follow-up to my math class might be one that I should do in the classroom. So I decided to make that one of them. And then I was fortunate enough to see that my current history instructor also teaches the follow-up history class that I would have to take next year. And so I decided to register for that as well. So I'll be taking intermediate algebra, and then my second history course. Those will be the 2 that I take in the classroom. And then the 2 accelerated courses I'm taking will be my second English course, and then natural science, which also includes a lab, which I don't know what necessarily that means, but that'll be the way it's structured is that the English will be the first 8 weeks, and then the science class will be the second 8 weeks. So again, as I've been saying this whole time, I really have no idea how these accelerated courses are going to go down. But I figure if if I only am worrying about 3 classes, then what I would have been, like using this semester for an example, what I would have been dedicating towards 2 classes, I could actually focus on 1. And one nice thing is that the commute will actually be a little bit better next semester, because my math course, which is 2 days a week, will be actually at the campus that I live near. So it's practically on my way home, on my way home from work, I should say. And that's about, if I leave right away, that's about a 20-minute drive roughly. And plus I'm not dealing with a bunch of freeway traffic, which I have to deal with 4 days a week right now. And now that'll get narrowed down to 1, unless I need to travel for one of the online courses for some reason, maybe to meet with one of the instructors or something. But I think both of them are at the campus that I already go to 3 days a week right now. So it's somewhat close by. The history course is the one that's all the way across town, so I will have to make that drive again next semester. But I ended up liking the way my instructor teaches, and so I decided that because of the fact that he teaches the follow-up course as well, then why not just kind of jump in feet first, which I have some more things to add to that here in a moment. So I'm not sure. Obviously this will be kind of a test drive to see how this combination will work. I'm hopeful, and I've got my fingers crossed, because I don't, hopefully this will keep me from continuing to be overwhelmed, while still being able to, basically kind of maintain my sanity. Also, this is going to give me more time to figure out what exactly I still need to do for the university side of things, because I still need to figure out what to do about the Japanese stuff. If I just need to start trying to kind of learn on my own, or if I need to look into taking classes somewhere. That's the kind of stuff I still need to figure out. So I might be doing that probably sometime in the next year, likely. But if I stick with this, combination, then that's actually just going to put me on a normal 2-year track for finishing my associate's degree, which at this point I've accepted and I'm okay with. Like I said, I think I'm just really trying to rush into things and not really doing what I normally do best, which is strategizing and planning and preparing, which ever since I started this whole college thing, I've just been trying to do what's going to get me there the quickest. Which I'll do what I can to speed up the process, but likely I'll end up having to do 4 years of college, and that's pretty much what normal people do. So it's not like I don't need to be in some kind of accelerated rung of people or whatever. But the other thing was that anytime I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed or decimated by all the work that I have to do and all that, I just recall a conversation that I had with my English instructor, and he at the very beginning of the semester told us a story. Well, it wasn't a story. It was basically just a piece of his life. How at the age of 39, he went back to school and decided to get his master's degree, and did so in 5 years. And he was working full time, going to school, and raising a family. So, for me to even think about having any complaints about anything that I'm doing, I just always remember that, as well as, because that's obviously, he's not obviously the only person to have done something like that. There are people I'm in class with right now that are pretty much trying to do the same thing. And, all I can do is just make sure to take advantage of the fact that I don't have to do that kind of stuff. The fact that I can sort of work at my own pace and not really have to worry about too many interruptions. And then it's just a matter of, me controlling that spare time that I have, and using it wisely. It's like this break that we have right now for Thanksgiving. And just a FYI, the excuse me, the end of the semester is coming up pretty quick. It's actually, I think, 3 more weeks of classes now, and then we're done, for the semester, I should say. But that the end of that's coming up really quick. And I actually kind of forgot where I was going. The fact that we're on Thanksgiving break right now. It's like I have 4 days to do all kinds of stuff. And I took, basically these first 2 days to just kind of lounge around and relax and kind of just enjoy myself. And basically after this episode gets edited and posted and all that, then I'm going to go back, get back to work. Cause I got my research paper back. I got both of them back. I got the English one back, and he actually really, really liked it. He said there were only a few changes that I needed to make, which I was able to do on the fly, reprint it and hand it back to him that same day, which is awesome. I mean, that's definitely, one perk of having this laptop. And I should mention that this combined effort of classroom and online experience will also help me actually get more mileage out of my laptop, because doing everything online, the laptop kind of sort of loses its necessity. But if I'm staying in classrooms, then it will exponentially help me with note taking and paper writing and things like that. But anyway, getting back to it. So the English research paper, as far as I know, is totally done. And he'll probably have a final grade for that for me next week when we go back to class. And in that class, I just have one more paper to write, which is a persuasive paper, which should be easy. Mainly because the topic that I'm doing is about like the benefits of a college education. And I mean, this show should be if you've been listening since the beginning, you should know that I am very much valuing this college education that I'm getting. So that paper actually shouldn't be too much trouble. It's only like 3 pages. I got to cite a couple sources, whatever. I should be able to knock that out pretty quick. The history paper that I wrote will need some more work. He only edited the first page of it, and then if I'm reading it correctly, he wanted me to basically edit the rest of the paper the way that he did, which I don't know how well that's going to work. That's not my job. Is to write the paper and do my best to edit, but usually I'm supposed to be following the lead of what my instructors, recommend for me. But I'll do my best. And I mean, the final paper is not due until basically our last day of class. So if I can get edits made, reprint it, and get it back to him by this next class, and then he should be able to get it back to me the following week, and then that should give me time to make final changes and then hand in a final paper. But he said it was good, and he said it will probably, get me a good grade, even if all I did was just follow the edits that he currently made. But hopefully ironing it out a second time will at least ensure that I get an A in that. And then for that class, all we have beyond that is just doing one final test, and then we're done. That'll be the end of it. So like I mentioned, the kind of theme around today's episode is going to be centered around like hard work. And kind of what I mean by that is I'm talking like hard work as far as what I'm doing in school versus what I'm doing at work. So I'm going to start with kind of where that applies at my actual job. And as I, continue to mention the my job always centers around how fast I can move, like physically. And I mean, anytime I get frustrated on the job, I'm always reminded of this conversation that I had with a coworker probably a couple months ago. Actually, it was probably around the time that I was starting the semester, and they were telling me that, the things, like some of the things that I was doing was obviously too slow for their taste. They want me to move faster and want me to work faster and blah, blah, blah. And, like the reason that, because he was not the only one to tell me this. There have been other people that have said the same thing. But what kind of drives me crazy is the fact that nobody seems to understand that, despite everyone knowing that I'm in college and that I'm working towards a career and future that does not involve this company. This company is simply a paycheck. It is not a career to me. It is a job. It is simply just something that I'm doing to earn money to keep a roof over my head while I go to school and work towards my actual career and future. And nobody seems to understand that. They just don't seem to get it. And what I continue to explain to them pretty much every time I have this conversation with someone is the fact that, because they always tell me, they're like, you gotta do a good job and do hard work and blah, blah, blah. And the reason they're saying that is because then it'll lead to better things down the road, which the weird thing is that the only better thing down the road that working faster essentially will get me is it'll give me some pathetic raise. A raise that I can't even earn right now because I am not a permanent employee. I am still a temp, and I will continue to be a temp until I'm basically done with school. And hopefully by the time I'm done with school, I'll be moving on to something else entirely. Now, would I like to be a permanent employee? Yes, I would. That would be very, very, very nice. Mainly the reason for that being that, I can earn benefits. I can earn vacation. I can have the potential to earn raises, even though pretty much at this point, I don't really care about getting a raise. I'm paid well enough to be able to sustain myself, be able to afford going to school. I can afford my books and things like that. And then I have, a little disposable income on the side. I don't really have many complaints as far as my pay goes. So, the thought of, oh, if you work hard, you'll get more money doesn't really matter to me because, like I've said before, I make $20 an hour. That's a decent wage. I mean, obviously, other jobs can make a lot more than that, but, for what I do and how long I've been doing it, that's a good wage. But the thing is that, how is it that people always say money doesn't buy happiness? And that totally applies as far as my job is concerned, because I am friggin' miserable every time I walk through those doors and have to do 8 hours of this crap. And, like the thing is that I am working towards a future, or at least a career at the moment, which if I did my math correctly is actually going to only pay somewhere around a maximum of $15 an hour. And this is like one of the many teaching jobs you can get in Japan. But based on my research thus far, the highest you're going to make is somewhere around 15 an hour. Now, I don't know if that will be different by the time I actually start applying to these companies, or if there are potentials, there might be potentials for like raises and stuff like that, once you're over there and working as well. I mean, but see, that's the kind of work where, I'll actually be really, truly applying myself and working hard and wanting to do the best job possible. But it is not going to happen in any facet of my manufacturing career at this point. What I continue to tell everyone is that I am pretty much just doing the bare minimum so I don't get fired, which for a lot of these companies, all that requires is just you showing up. You just got to show up don't be late, and that's it. You know, you can, like, there are people that work a hell of a lot slower than I do, and that's probably because they, like, I mean, this is gonna make me sound like such a dick, but based on my observations, like the thing I've definitely determined in the time that I've been working at this job, well, the 7 or 8 years that I've been doing CNC, is that it's a very ageist society. And what I mean by that is that someone my age who, you know, would be in like their 20s or 30s, are always looked down upon, and they will continue to be looked down upon until they seem to reach that pivotal age, which to me, I believe is around the age of 40. And the reason I believe it's the age of 40 is because that, for a lot of people, is the point of no return. It's that area where the line is drawn, and once you cross that line, then there's no turning back. You can't. And the reason I'm saying that is because most people have decided on their career at that point. They've decided either they're going to do that or they're going to work towards something else. And usually that's done before people turn 40. Usually by the time someone turns 40, they're established at least in a direction of where they want to go. But I feel in the CNC career that I work, that a lot of people get to that point, but it's not necessarily by choice. It's more because of the fact that something better maybe didn't come their way, or they just kind of woke up one day and realized, like, oh crap, I didn't work towards something else. Oh well, guess this is going to be it for me. And like, a lot of times you can just see it in their eyes, like the whole, you just see that kind of, I don't know what you would call it. I don't want to say it's depression, because they're not necessarily depressed, but it's just that kind of, I don't know, little shade of gloom that you can see, and you can hear it when you talk to them, that they didn't necessarily choose this path. And, so at that point, all they can do to try and make things better for themselves is just work hard, work faster, and always have a leg up on the other guy, which leads to a lot of information hoarding, because some of these guys, man, they, for starters, don't like getting asked questions, because they have it in their heads that because they know this, you should also know this, and there should be no exchange of words involved in you learning that. It's just like they expect it to be osmosis or something. I'm not entirely sure, but that's at least the vibe that I get from a lot of these guys. And they like to keep information to themselves instead of sharing it with others, because they have this delusional thought that if they know more than you, then that's job security, which, I mean, kind of in a way is sort of true. But I just always feel that if everyone knows what I know or knows more, then everyone's going to at least be working on the same level as me, which, for as long as I've been doing this and as much effort as I have put in years past to learn as much as possible, would be a really good thing. I'm obviously not any kind of novice, but I'm not any kind of expert either. And like when I train someone, anytime I train someone on what I do, it's always with the intention of them finishing that training knowing what I know. Now, obviously that can't be done in a few hours or even a few days if it was nonstop training. But for whatever amount of time that I am training them, I'm going to try and pump them with as much information as possible without hopefully overloading them, and making them feel overwhelmed or whatever. Because a lot of times when, especially if someone's training from the very beginning, meaning they have like zero prior experience, these machines can actually look really intimidating. And I know I've been there. They used to intimidate me as well. But it's just a matter of, and this is always funny, is that when I was always being trained, they always say, take your time. They say, take your time, learn this or that, and, go at your comfortable pace. But that only applies until, I don't know, maybe about a week or so. And then someone's going to be standing there tapping their foot, staring at you, wondering why you're not working faster. And, it's just this constant hypocrisy that just drives me nuts. So, what I always tell people when they decide that I'm going to be the target of their lecture about working hard and earning more pay and whatever. And granted, like, the raises that you would get are not significant. Like, even if I busted my ass for a whole year or a year and a half, depending on how quickly they do their raises around here. But if I just worked really hard for that whole time, that would lead to maybe like 50 cents at best. There have been years where coworkers of mine have gotten as little as a dime as a wage increase. And I mean, those people would be really busting their ass trying to, earn that pay, and that's all they get, is they get a dime. I think the lowest amount of raise that I got was probably one year was a quarter. Actually, I remember one year I got 20 cents. 20 cents was the increase I got. But I also found, like, and I don't know if other people know this or they just don't believe in this strategy, but what I found works best, like, if I really want to make more money and I want a significant increase in my pay, is I go find another job, because I usually end up succeeding in lowballing the potential hiring company. And I say, yeah, I'm just making this right now. And they look at my experience and they say, well, what would you be interested in making? And I'm like, I don't know, a few dollars more or something like that. And they're like, well, based on your experience, we could easily pay that for you. And so that's usually how I get the really nice raises and how I've worked my way up to the $20 that I make now. And probably the saddest part about where I work right now is the fact that over time and through the proverbial grapevine, I learned that I make more than a lot of the people that have been there. Some have been there as long as 20 years and they're still making less than I do. Which I don't, I mean, there are obviously, excuse me, there are obviously factors that come into play there as far as why they may not be making as much as me, but it just doesn't seem right. Like, you would think that someone dedicating and committing, many years of their life to working at a company, you would think that they'd be rewarded accordingly. Whereas someone like me, I hop around from job to job, which makes me, not as appealing to someone that might be hiring. If they're seeing that, I was only at this place for 8 months and I was only at that place for 6 months, and hell, even one place I was only there for a month. But like, I've been here a year now, and for me to not raise like any red flags or whatever, I probably have to be here another year before I started looking again. But I'm not worried about that. But basically my point is that I just don't see the point in really, really working hard in this line of work. Like, if anything, I did that. I already got all my effort taken care of, because now I know what I know, which my ability to learn how to operate machines quickly and how to set them up and things of that nature, that's what gets me my job security. Not the fact that I've been here for any number of years, because I've seen people that were working at places for 10, 20, 30 years, and they still get fired like just almost instantly without even a second thought, because that's just how companies look at people. They're just numbers. And I'm not saying that that like Japan is some kind of euphoric place that doesn't do any of this kind of stuff. I'm just saying that the career that I'm working towards will be a career that I actually want to put effort into. and actually work hard for. Whereas CNC, just, that's not going to happen. It's just, all I want to do is just the bare minimum. And so what I tell people when they're lecturing me about working hard or whatever is that any effort that I would be putting into my job, like I have in years past, is going towards school. Like all my extra effort is going towards school. That's why I'm doing homework while I'm on the clock. That's why, well, I mean, I think in a way I'm taking a risk by doing that, because I'm sure if like the wrong person saw me doing that and figured out what I was doing, then I'd get in trouble. But that's a risk I'm willing to take because the schoolwork is way more important to me. And a lot of times I'm just standing there being bored anyway. So it actually is counterproductive for me, because if I'm just standing there waiting for my machine to finish, then someone's looking at me thinking that I need something to do. So it actually helps me to at least look busy while I'm doing homework. So yeah, I think it's kind of a win-win for everybody. And kind of what inspired this whole deal with, you know, working hard versus working slow is the fact that during work, like actually this is probably close to 2 weeks ago now, I did what is generally considered something kind of like a curse word in my line of work, which is scrap. Scrap is not something you want to say a lot of. And I ended up actually scrapping almost a whole job, which is not really a good thing to do. It's not a fireable offense, but it can be if you're a repeat offender. If you only do it like here and there, you may still get written up or whatever, but like at least for me, I always make sure I learn from the experience, that I figure out why I did that, and you know, make sure not to obviously do it again. But yeah, if you're one of those people that scrap jobs repeatedly, and especially if you do it for the same reason, yeah, you can get fired for it. Which, I mean, I'm even at more of a risk for that because of the fact that I'm a temp, so it'd be very easy to fire me. They literally wouldn't have to do anything aside from come up to me and say, yeah, we're going to let you go, and that's it. You just grab your stuff and leave. There's no paperwork involved. There's no, there's no meeting. There's no nothing. Like anytime I've been let go as a temp, that's literally how it went down. It was just the guy came up to me, said, yeah, we're not going to keep you on anymore. So, please leave. That's pretty much how it went. So, and the thing is around this whole job that I scrapped is that ultimately, like when I boiled it down, it was the fact that I was trying to rush things. The fact that I was trying to work a little faster, and that just came back to bite me in the ass. So, that's sort of what inspired the key points of this episode, is that I have to work at my own pace. That's just the only way that I'm going to get jobs done and get them done right. Because all it ended up being for that scrap job was just a simple mistake. All I had to do was just one little thing, and the whole thing would have been fine. But because I was in a hurry, because I always have someone staring at me, to get that done faster, I just kind of rushed through it and just, I got the job done quickly, but, it came at a cost where none of those parts were good. And one thing I love to say around the shop is that you can either make good parts slowly or you can make bad parts quickly. And that's something I will say pretty much until my last day working CNC, because I feel that holds true. And I also feel that that can apply, towards a lot of other jobs too. Like there's, you can do bad work quickly or you can do good work slowly. And I mean, you have to obviously fill in the details for what that could be, but that's just a philosophy I will always follow. It's like, it's kind of the way I am with when I teach someone, is that I'm not going to do what other people have done to me in the past, where they kind of rush through everything so they can be done in like 10 minutes. And then they say, okay, you have any questions, come ask me. And then I have tons of questions for them 10 minutes later, and then they don't want to answer them, because then that's just taking time away from work that they need to get done, because, you know, even if you're training someone, you still have your own stack of work to do, which I don't understand. It's like, why can't you just focus on training someone so that they'll be up to speed? Then you can get back to what you were doing. But apparently speed is the only way that companies make money around here. You know, never mind putting quality into it. You know, that's not part of the equation. That's just something we put on the front of the door. That, you know, oh yeah, quality is our number one priority and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I'm starting to get into a rant here. So the extra effort that would go towards my job normally is going towards school. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, putting that effort into school has paid off for me. Like I said, you know, with the English paper, I busted my ass over the course of time it took me to write the paper, and it got done. And maybe that's not the best example, because I did kind of knock that out over a few hours over the weekend, but you know, I did the same thing with my history paper as well, knocked that out the same weekend, you know, just busted my balls doing that. And because of the fact that, you know, I did it and I turned it in on time, I actually got extra credit for it. And the reason is because only I and one other student actually turned in the drafts on time when they were due. Everyone else did not. And I'm not going to make judgments here as to why all those other people did not do it. I don't know. I can't say. But the fact is that, you know, if you do your work and you do it and you turn it in on time, you know, I mean, the biggest thing for me was that, okay, it's done. You know, I don't have to worry about it now. I mean, obviously I've gotten it back and I need to make changes and corrections and stuff, but the general meat of the paper is done. I just got to make minor tweaks here and there. And like, that's just how it's got to be for me going through college. Because if I don't, I'm going to turn back into that slacker that I was in freaking high school, and, you know, barely graduated by the seat of my pants. And I'm not doing that in college. I mean, like, at this point, I was pissed when I saw the results of that math test. And I wasn't, you know, angry at the teacher or the material or anything like that. I was only angry at myself, because I knew there were things that I could have done to ensure I was better prepared for that test. And, you know, I just didn't. There was some point, like probably a month and a half ago, some point where I must have slacked off more than I thought I could. Because I was like, oh, I only have like one thing due this week or whatever. But I don't know. I just wasn't maintaining speed, and I fell behind at some point. So then I was playing catch up. And so when I came into that agreement with my math instructor to only come to class for test taking, I, instead of using that time to do my math homework like I originally was intending to do, I was using it to write these papers or do my psychology homework or whatever, which obviously ate into my math time. And as a result, I wasn't prepared for that test, and I ended up bombing it. So I'm not, you know, the best thing I can do at this point is just not repeat the same mistakes. So what I'm doing is I'm going back to my math classes. I actually figured out something that seems to work fairly well, at least it did for this last class I took. And that's to print out all the homework, because, you know, my instructor and I agreed that breaking out the laptop might not be such a great idea. But I printed out the homework, and as she's going through the material, I'm actually doing the homework. And, you know, it worked really well, because then I yesterday at some point just inputted all the answers that I got and was done with it. I probably finished up the entire assignment within like 20 minutes, and now I'm all caught up, at least until the next class. So I think I'm going to stick with that strategy for the remainder of my math, because there's what do we have? We have two more tests, and then that'll be the end of the semester. So, I figure I need to just be better prepared for this, because when that failing grade dropped me a whole letter in my overall grade. I went from an A to a B, which again, really pissed me off, but I only have myself to blame for it. So, I tried talking to her, seeing if there was some kind of extra credit I could do to try and bring that grade back up. And, all she's going to be able to do for me is just put a few extra credit problems on these upcoming tests. So the only thing I can do at this point is just, focus on acing these upcoming tests and getting those extra credit problems done. And hopefully maybe that'll bring me back up above a 90% so I can walk out of the class with an A, because I'd really love to end the semester with all A's. And the only other class that I need to focus on to make that happen is my psychology class, because I'm holding at like a 85% overall in there. But thankfully, what's going to happen is there is an opportunity to do extra credit in that course. So what's going to happen with that is that my psych teacher is having a expert in autism or something coming into one of his physical classroom courses and speaking for an hour. So he has invited his online students to come down and use that as an opportunity for extra credit. So I promptly said I will be there. The only issue with that is the fact that it is the same day that I'm taking my next math test. But I did speak with my instructor, and she was fine with me making it up, before the following class. So hopefully I'll be able to not have any issues with that. But at least in the meantime, that doesn't mean I'm going to slack off doing the math work, because I think I have more time to worry about it. I'm still going to go to classes and, stick with this doing the homework in class strategy, because that seems to work well. I think I retain the material a lot better also because I have her kind of going through it up on the screen while I'm doing it. So yeah, it's just, this is sort of the point of this whole college experience, is that and part of the reason why I do the show is because I don't know what to do, and I've got to kind of learn how to do things as I'm going through it. And my hope is that if someone out there is going through a similar thing and they start listening to my show, maybe that'll help them be able to tackle these challenges well and do the best that they can. Just like I am. And so, yeah, that's, my goal is going to be to have as many A's under my belt as possible. So, one other nice thing, that I hadn't mentioned yet is that, because I'm taking the same history course from my same instructor that I have right now, I had a quick chat with him after class, last week, and asked if his class is pretty much set up the same way, just different material, and he said yes. So what's awesome is that he is already given me the go ahead to basically start on my research paper for that class. So that's one thing I'm going to be doing over the winter break after the semester's over, is I'm going to just, because it's only one thing I have to worry about, but I'm going to get I'm going to try and have a paper ready for him by the time I walk into the door on day one. And just the thought that I can have that research paper finished, or at least close to finished before I even start the class, will be awesome, because, if I have the research paper done, that's it. I'm finished with that. And if I'm using his class that I'm taking right now as a reference, all I have to worry about is just taking notes and doing well on tests, which I can do that. That's not a problem at all. If anything, not worrying about one more research paper will allow me to focus more on taking better notes and better preparing for tests. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that, especially since it's only one thing I got to worry about instead of several. But one thing I've been thinking about for for a little while here is what I was going to do as far as the show is concerned during the winter break. Because the break, when does it start? It starts somewhere like the week of December 18th. I think that's whatever day that falls on. That's the last official week of classes. I think that's a Thursday because I think that's the last day for my English class. I can pull up my calendar here real quick and look. But maybe that's not a good idea. Yeah, it's probably not a good idea. Okay. So anyway, it's somewhere around that time. So, classes don't start up again until, roughly a month later, at the end of January. So, what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of bring back my old geek show, to do during the break. And it's not going to be an exact, clone copy of that show. I'm going to actually do things a little differently. But I'm going to title the show, Late to the Party, because, the way I feel about this is that, with school and work and all that, I'm totally late to the party on a lot of things. As far as like my, extracurricular activities are concerned. So it'll be about like, movies and video games and stuff like that. Basically anything geeky that strikes my interest. So like tonight, for example, I've decided that, over the last couple days, I bought a couple things in preparation for the winter break, because I'm looking forward to just kind of relaxing and chilling out before I got to put my nose back to the grindstone and get back to work. So I bought like what did I buy? Oh, I bought the newest God of War game because that was like $10. And I'm currently installing Guild Wars 2 on my PC and my laptop. So, I'm looking forward to checking that out, over the break. But I told myself that I might get everything going sometime this weekend just to get everything set up so that when I am ready to go, then I don't have to deal with a lot of crap. But for the most part, I'm holding off until the break actually starts to start diving into these, mainly because the last thing I need right now is a distraction. I mean, I'm in the home stretch. I just got to keep at it for a few more weeks, and then and then I can take a break. So that's pretty much what I'm doing at this point. But I don't know the format of how the geek show is going to go or anything like that. But I'll probably spend the next few weeks planning it out, and you can expect the first episode sometime probably around Christmas, I would assume. Maybe it depends on when I have time to record it, honestly, because my break is also filled up with a lot of holiday parties. I know I have one party in the Chicago area the same week that I finish classes. So, we're pretty much getting off right to a hearty start. And then I have a couple other things, even all the way up until the weekend of classes starting. I have something going. I think I have another Madison trip planned out there. But I have the laptop now, so I very well could be bringing that with me and getting started on my homework, at least for my online courses, that very same weekend. So you just got to keep at it. I mean, that's the best advice that I can say for anyone out there that's doing what I'm doing. You just stick with it, keep at it, and you'll eventually come out on top. So okay, I think I've rambled on long enough. I just wanted to mention that the other show is in the works, and it'll be I'll basically do episodes of that anytime that I'm on a break from the semester, because the thing is that there won't be a lot of stuff to say while I'm on break. It's like, okay, I'm still on break, the end. So I figure I fill in the gap with some geek stuff, and it'll be I haven't decided if I'm going to make like a separate feed for it or anything that might be a bit more work than I'm willing to do, just to get a show out for a couple weeks. So I may just include it in this feed that you're listening to right now. And if that's the case, you know, you don't have to listen to it by any means. You're more than welcome just to delete the episodes or whatever. I wouldn't recommend unsubscribing because it's only going to be for a few weeks. So it'll actually, you know, if you unsubscribe, then you could end up, you know, if you're like me, I've done that before, and I'll forget to resubscribe, and then I'll have to catch up on a bunch of episodes. So it may just be easier for you to delete the episodes of the Geek Show as they come out, and then, you know, before you know it, you know, we'll be back in full swing on the road to Japan. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it good for there, because I'm still kind of recovering from my Thanksgiving meal last night. It was really good. But yeah, anyway, so I'm gonna call it good tonight. So once again, I thank you for listening. I'm gonna put a track to skip in here, as I always do, because that's pretty easy to do. And you may have noticed I didn't put a Japan note in. Sorry. I didn't want to really worry about a Japan note right now. I may put that on hiatus for the moment. It's just like coming up with material, and I mean, coming up with material as a beginner myself can be kind of tricky. But you know, as I always say, if there's something that you want to hear in particular, you're welcome to write in, email at theroadtojapan.com, or you can tweet the account at theroadtojapan on Twitter, or you can find the page on Facebook. Just do a search for The Road to Japan. So there are plenty of ways that you can get in touch with the show. You know, if there's something you want to hear, maybe in regards to a Japan note, it just has to be kind of more beginner level, because that's still where I consider myself to be. But you know, I'm not above doing research either, because I mean, I'm going to have to learn this stuff one way or another. So if there's a question about Japanese that you have and you want me to try and look into it, you're more than welcome to get a hold of me and let me know. But the track to skip tonight, or today, or for this episode, is going to be by a group called Babymetal. And what I find interesting about this group is that they are a Japanese group, but what caught my attention is that it's a group of 3 young ladies in their teens. So I think the oldest one at this point is like 14 or 15 years old, and they were originally part of some larger group, I guess, that had a bunch of other kids their age doing certain kinds of music, but I guess they got too old for it or something along those lines. I'm not quite sure, but they got too old for something, and then they formed this group called Babymetal. And what's interesting about them is that they sing in, you know, kind of not like J-pop lyrics or whatever, but well, it's kind of hard to explain. But the thing is that the actual music itself is like very much like metal. So it's got a lot of, like, you know, guitars and you know, solos and like squealing on the guitars and things like that. It's very cool. It's a very interesting mix. You'll understand when I play the track for you, but the track that I'm going to play from their album is going to be one called Give Me Chocolate, which, I mean, kind of sums up everything. But, you know, I mean, you're thinking, you're looking at that saying, oh, give me chocolate, so it's going to be some cutesy little tune or whatever, and then you just hear these guitars and drums, you know, it's pretty awesome. So yeah, that's going to be the track to skip here. So anyway, I've really rambled on long enough here. So this has been episode 9 of The Road to Japan. My name is Nico, and I will catch you all next time. Minasan, ganbatte.